Thanks, Richard, and welcome to our listeners to another instalment of Better Health. Now we're out of March. We're into March now, so we're talking still about women's health. Now, over these weeks, we've been talking about breast health, we've been talking about skin health internally, and today we're talking about caring for our bodies and our skin and us. And we have Cara Phillips with us. Now, Cara's the director and founder of Carmage Pure Botanical Skincare. Cara is very passionate about living well and about empowering others to make informed decisions to live the best life possible. Welcome, Cara.
Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, our pleasure. So, Cara, what made you decide to start Carmage Products?
Well, it was after the birth of my first daughter in 2004, and look, like most new mums, I began to question everything that I used on them. And for me, it wasn't until I had the kids that I really began to question everything. And here was this little baby that had spent the last 9+ months in my stomach, in my belly, with no contact with any chemical whatsoever. And then from the moment they're born, it seems that we start to lather them with washes and nappy creams, oils, wipes, and the list of, potentially harmful chemical, is quite staggering. So I began to research a lot of the ingredients that were in, the best-selling products on the markets, and was really shocked. And then I began to research a lot of the so-called natural products on the market and found that they weren't much better. And the more I looked into it, the more disturbed I became, so hence Carmage was born. We started with our baby and family range, but we now have a full facial range of cleansers, toners, moisturisers, exfoliants and masks.
Fantastic. Now, Cara, you're passionate about living well, and it's the motto you use for Carmage. What does this mean to you?
Look, I am. At Carmage, we use the line, we're living well is second nature. And living well, I think, means many different things to many different people. But for me, it's about making the most with everything that I've been given, with my mind, my body, and most importantly, my spirit. Ideally, living life to its full potential. So essentially, it's the topic for today, taking care of our bodies, our skin, and of course us.
So let's talk through these, shall we?
Well, the first one is our bodies. Now, our bodies is probably the most talked about one, and the human body is truly amazing. All it really wants to do is maintain optimum health. Hippocrates, who was the so-called founder of modern medicine, over 2,000 years ago, he said, "Let food be thy medicine." Now, I think our bodies could practically heal anything if we were able to feed it the right things. But the problem that I find today is that food is not really a medicine. It's, often a never-ending fast and chemically laden option. And I bet tomorrow, if you were told that the car that you owned had to last you the rest of your life, that you'd start to pay almost obsessive attention to how you treated it, with the fuel and the oil that you had to feed it, what products you used on the outside of it to keep it looking great, and how you looked after the interior of it. Yet we have these amazing bodies and we tend to mistreat them and abuse them every day, yet they've got to last us the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
And I think we keep sabotaging our body's main true purpose, which is to be well. And I think we do this by eating too many chemicals in the form of additives and preservatives, and too much of any one thing. I think the key is moderation. And I like to sort of think of, if there's a bath that's full of water, and the amount of water that can fill out of that bath in a day to empty it is what our bodies really want to try to do to maintain optimum health. But our Western diet is so full of additives and chemicals that our bodies are having to work really hard to empty this bath of water every day. And then, they're still trying to digest yesterday's hamburger and cola and then last night's garlic bread and pizza that are being dumped into the top of it. That, we're overflowing our bath, so to speak, that our bodies just can't keep up with getting rid of the things that aren't good for it, so it can actually be well.
Yes. Okay, so, what can we do about this?
Well, I think there's so much to go into here, but look, it's not rocket science. For me, it's all about moderation. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and so is food. I love chocolate, I love a glass of red wine, I love sweets, and I certainly don't deny myself this, but I definitely do things in moderation and choose real ingredients, choose food that is full of real ingredients and not additives and not chemical options.
Yes.
So my big 3 tips, I think, with caring for our bodies would be, the first one would be to eat real foods. Think of what your grandmother would have eaten. If your grandmother wouldn't recognise the ingredients on the label, then maybe it's a food that isn't close to its natural source. limit the amount of chemicals that you put in your body every day. You know, chemicals that are in our food, in our cleaning products, and of course our personal care products that go on our skin. And our modern diets, I think, contain far too many additives, preservatives, colours, flavours, the list goes on, that our bodies just don't know how to and can't deal with them. And many of these additives have been found to be harmful to our health and have cancer-causing effects in animal studies.
So they don't necessarily preserve our bodies as well.
No, certainly not.
But what is it that's so bad about all these additives in our food?
Look, I think the first thing here is that we think that if it wasn't safe, it wouldn't be on the shelves and it wouldn't be allowed, and that's just not the case. You know, most scientists agree that it would take 20 to 30 years to properly evaluate the long-term effects of each particular chemical. But companies certainly don't present data from a 20 to 30 year study to our food authorities before they're allowed in the food chain. You know, and it's estimated that every one of us consume 5 kilograms of additives every year. I mean, do you know the effect of 5 kilograms of additives on your health?
Yeah, no, not at all.
And I think a bigger concern is, what hasn't been taken into effect by a lot of the authorities is the combined effect of additives, and that's one of my big things, really.
Right.
It is, because, I think you would rarely find a product on our shelves that contain just one additive. They generally contain 4 to 5 additives. And there was a 2005 study which was conducted by the University of Liverpool, which looked at the combined effects of 4 of the most common food additives found on the market, which were aspartame, brilliant blue, which is a colour, MSG, which we've all heard about, and quinine yellow, which is another colour. And that study was conducted on animals in ratios that really stimulated in bloodstreams what children would be affected to in snacks.
Yes.
And what they found with the combined effect was that it stopped nerve cells growing and interfered with proper signalling systems in animals. Now, that combination can be found in typical kids' snacks, such as a chocolate milk and rice crackers, or a cordial and chips. Now, I certainly do not want my kids being the testing subjects, so I really look at limiting the amount of additives that they have in their diets.
Yeah, that really is quite frightening. So, what can other parents do about this?
I think firstly, be armed with information. I think the most important thing parents can do is learn to read labels and know what additives to avoid. And there's so much information available out there, and our website has a lot of information on it as part of our 6-part Living Well series. So if you log on to Carmaget website, www.carmaget.com.au, you can sign up for our newsletters or our email for more information. And there's also a list on our website of other information resources that you can get, such as books, and learn to read the labels so you can. What I find is once you learn to read the labels, you can essentially keep the menu exactly the same, but simply by changing the brands of some of the things you buy, especially things like rice crackers for kids and and juices and things like that. Vastly different brand to brand. So you don't have to overhaul your whole family's diet. It's just putting some common sense back into it.
Excellent information, Cara. Thank you so much. Now, we were going to take a quick song break. We'll be back very, very soon. We're going to talk about Cara's second tip for a healthy body tomorrow. And let's go now, shall we, Richard?